They thought she was weak, just another woman trapped in the armory. But what they didn't know was that years of brutal Navy SEAL training had carved her into something they weren't ready for. How does someone hide an elite warrior's past until the very moment it matters most? What happens when arrogance collides head-on with silent discipline? And why did the entire base whisper her name long after that night? Because when the door slammed shut, the men who cornered her had no idea they'd just locked themselves in with a predator. This story isn't just about combat. It's about every time you've been underestimated, every time someone looked at you and thought you weren't strong enough, skilled enough, or ruthless enough to fight back. If you've ever been doubted or want to see how doubt can be turned into dominance, then stay till the end. And if you love powerful, true-to-life stories like this, hit like, subscribe, and turn on the bell so you never miss the next one. The armory was quiet. The smell of gun oil mixed with concrete, and steel racks lined the walls holding rifles, pistols, and heavy gear that hadn't been touched in weeks. 4 young recruits, full of ego, thought they had her figured out. They didn't know her name. Elena Cross, a quiet contractor, arriving sharp at 6:30 a.m., leaving before evening. They're gonna break her, one whispered. But what they didn't see was the years of brutal Navy SEAL training carved into her every move. Calm, focused, and ready. As the door slammed shut behind them, the recruits had no idea. They weren't cornering a quiet contractor. They were locking themselves in with a predator. What will happen when arrogance meets deadly skill? 4 young recruits, Brennan Chase, Mickey Dale, Cole Madden, and Jonas Rivera, stepped into the armory with arrogance. Each wanted to prove themselves. Chase, the unofficial leader, carried the confidence of someone used to being listened to. Dale, loud and wiry, amplified Chase's energy. Madden, the muscle, watched silently, waiting for a fight. Rivera, youngest and reckless, volunteered for danger without thinking. They looked at Elena, the quiet contractor in faded fatigues, clipboard in hand, and laughed. "You gonna make us?" Rivera said, reaching for her arm. They thought she would break. They thought her silence meant weakness. But Elena wasn't weak, and in the next seconds, their assumptions would be shattered. Elena Cross moved through the armory with quiet precision. Few noticed the faint scar running from her collarbone to her neck, or the way her boots were worn, not just from parades, but from miles of real missions. What the recruits didn't know, Elena had been medically evacuated from Kandahar. 18 months earlier, after an IED blast tore through her convoy. 2 Marines died. Shrapnel stayed dangerously close to her spine. The Navy called it career-ending. Elena called it a challenge. 8 months of grueling rehabilitation taught her to run, fight, and survive again. Her calm eyes watched every movement, every twitch, every slight shift in posture. They thought they had her figured out. But Elena was ready for what was coming next. 3 days after their first encounter, the 4 recruits returned while Elena was inventorying night vision gear. Chase and Dale tried to act casual, smirking as they approached. "We've been wondering about you," Rivera said, his hand brushing near the weapons rack behind her. Elena didn't flinch. She kept counting, her eyes subtly tracking all 4 positions, movements, potential weapons. She spoke softly. "You don't get to give orders here." Chase stepped closer, puffing his chest. "You sure about that?" he challenged. Elena's calm gaze never wavered. Every move she made was precise, silent, controlled, built from years of elite SEAL training. The moment Rivera grabbed at her arm, everything changed, and the recruits were about to learn the hard way that quiet doesn't mean weak. The second Rivera grabbed her arm, Elena moved like lightning. His grip met steel under skin. She twisted his wrist and sent him stumbling into a weapons rack. Dale lunged forward. Her elbow struck his solar plexus, knocking the wind out of him. Madden charged, but she swept his legs, sending him crashing face first into the concrete floor. Chase tried a bear hug, confident he could control her, but Elena slipped inside his reach, drove her shoulder into his midsection, and slammed him down. In less than half a minute, all 4 recruits lay bruised, shocked and confused on the floor. Standing calm and unbroken, Elena picked up her clipboard and looked down at Chase. "Who are you?" he mumbled, because the truth about her would change everything. Elena Cross straightened, calm and steady, as the recruit struggled to rise. "I'm not just a contractor," she said softly, her voice carrying authority. "I'm a Navy SEAL, Petty Officer First Class, 2 tours in Afghanistan, 1 in Somalia, 17 confirmed kills, 16 hand-to-hand victories." The recruits froze. Chase's jaw dropped. Dale and Rivera exchanged wide-eyed looks. Madden just stared. I'm on medical leave while the Navy decides if my injuries are permanent, she continued. They put me here because I can still serve without being a liability. I stayed quiet, kept to myself, gave you every chance to leave me alone, but you decided quiet meant weak. Rivera whispered, We didn't know. Elena's reply was cold and precise. No, you didn't, and that almost got you killed. By morning, the story had spread across the base. The 4 recruits faced consequences. Chase was medically discharged, Dale and Rivera were suspended, and Madden received 6 weeks of medical leave. Whispers about Elena Cross filled every corner. Her quiet strength had earned respect and fear. Sergeant Porter addressed the next wave of recruits. Not everyone who stays quiet has nothing to say. Some have seen things, done things. They don't need to prove anything because they already have. The most dangerous person in the room is usually the one who never speaks. The recruits had learned the hardest lesson of their military careers. Silent, controlled power was far more formidable than arrogance or noise. By the end of the day, everyone on the base saw Elena differently, and no one underestimated her again. Elena's story isn't just about combat. It's about every time someone underestimates you. It's about proving strength without showing off, staying calm when others act arrogant, and letting actions speak louder than words. For the audience, the lesson is clear. Life often underestimates quiet people. The ones who seem small or reserved may carry experience, skill, and determination far beyond what you can see. Respect is earned, not assumed. Sometimes the quietest person in the room is the most dangerous, Sergeant Porter had said. And that truth isn't limited to the Armory. It can happen anywhere, anytime with anyone. Elena Cross stood calm, collected, and unbroken. 4 recruits had underestimated her and learned a lesson they would never forget. Her quiet strength, built over years of Navy SEAL training and real-life challenges, had turned doubt into dominance. Her story reminds us that true power doesn't need to be shouted. It is silent, precise, and unstoppable. Every time you feel underestimated, remember Elena's example, patience, preparation. An inner strength can change everything. If you've ever been doubted or want to see how doubt can be turned into victory, this story proves it's possible. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit the bell so you never miss another true, heroic story that inspires courage and respect. Who will be the next person underestimated, but ready to prove themselves?